This will sound very strange, but the classic animation movie The Lion King and the iconic scene in which baby Simba is lifted up for all to see is a prophecy that is predicting that the voice of Mufasa, the king in the movie The Lion King, and the voice of Darth Vader, James Earl Jones, will die on precisely January 3rd, 2022. The date that this video is posted proves that this prediction was made ahead of time, as does this timestamped email and forensic notes PDF. If you are skeptical, please email me and I will forward these to you. As well, it is predicting that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash that will be caused due to a bird strike on precisely January 14th, 2022. After Harris's death, she will be replaced by the Antichrist. Jesus said he saw Satan falling like lightning from heaven. This is exactly what will be symbolized through Kamala Harris's fall from the sky in a plane crash. In the Bible, the number 13 symbolizes the Antichrist. In Strong's Hebrew Concordance, the word for lightning is H1300. In the book of the prophet Isaiah in the Bible, it is said that Lucifer fell from the high place. In Strong's Hebrew Concordance, this word that is a metaphor for heaven is H1117. James Earl Jones's prophetic 90th birthday was on the date 117, which hints at H1117. Jones will die 11 months and 17 days after 117. 11 months and 17 days also hints at H1117. Jones will die on the date 1-3, which hints at the number 13, which symbolizes the Antichrist, and this is why the date 1-3 hints at H1300, the word for lightning. The Antichrist king will rise to power during the 117th Congress. From the Bible, the number 9 symbolizes God's judgment, and the number 13 symbolizes the Antichrist king. 9 times 13 equals 117. 9 times 13 symbolizes judgment on the nation from the Antichrist king. James Earl Jones will die at the age of 90, which symbolizes the number 9, on the date 1-3, which symbolizes the number 13. This is why James Earl Jones's 90th birthday was on the date 117, which symbolizes the number 117. Which was 13 days after the first day of the 117th Congress, which for the first time ever opened with a ceremonial prayer not to the God of the Bible, but to foreign pagan gods. In the Bible, Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, was a prophetic foreshadow of the Antichrist king. The famous actor James Earl Jones is king symbolism. He was the voice of the Lion King, played a dying king in Coming to America. James Earl Jones read the audio King James Bible and was the voice of Darth Vader, which is Antichrist king symbolism. There is zero news of James Earl Jones's health as of the date that this video was posted. Furthermore, the reasoning that I am about to explain confirms that the supernatural is involved with these predictions. Also, I have known that the death of James Earl Jones would be a major prophetic sign from God since 2019. July 13th, 2019 was the day of the extremely prophetic Manhattan blackout. This power outage caused a flood backstage of the theater that hosts the musical The Lion King. This was a news story because the flood had damaged the costumes and the cast had to perform without costumes for a number of days after this blackout. James Earl Jones starred as the voice role for the character Mufasa in the movie The Lion King. The character Mufasa in the movie The Lion King died in a flood of wildebeests. Mufasa was trampled in a stampede of wildebeests that symbolizes a flood. James Earl Jones turned 90 years old on January 17th, 2021. In the Bible, the number 9 symbolizes judgment, and the number 90 symbolizes the number 9. 90 years old on the 17th of January gives us the numbers 9 and 17, And the last verse in the account of the flood judgment, Genesis 9:17, regards God's sign regarding judgment, the rainbow. When asked by his disciples for the signs to look for of his return, Jesus used the metaphor of birth pains, and the average human gestation period is 9 months. Exactly 9 months after the Manhattan blackout and the flood backstage of the theater that hosts the musical The Lion King was the day of the national news story regarding the rainbow that stretched perfectly between the two iconic towers of Manhattan, the Empire State Building and the One World Tower, which hinted at the Twin Towers that collapsed in the judgment warning on 9/11. This rainbow across Manhattan was exactly 9 months after the Manhattan blackout. Genesis 9:17 regards the rainbow, and in turn 17 days before this rainbow was the day it was reported for the second day in a row that in New York City there was one death every 17 minutes due to coronavirus. This was the same day that Bob Dylan released his first track in many years, which was famous for being 17 minutes long and was about a famous death, the death of a president. 2 days in a row of one death every 17 minutes due to coronavirus was followed the next day by one death every 9 minutes, and this was another pairing of 9 and 17 that hinted at Genesis 9:17, which regards God's sign regarding judgment, the rainbow. 2 days in a row of one death every 17 minutes, 17 days before the rainbow that stretched perfectly between the two iconic towers in Manhattan hinted at the two planes that struck the two twin towers 17 minutes apart. James Earl Jones is also well known for his love of theater and his performances on Broadway. This Manhattan blackout is known for having cut the power and the lights of half of Times Square on Broadway, while the other side, the other half, remained lit up. The blackout occurred at 13 minutes to 7 p.m. on the date 7/13, and in the book of Matthew in the Bible, chapter 7, verse 13, is the verse where Jesus said, "Broad is the way to destruction." He said many people are on the easy, broad way to destruction, and that few people are on the hard and narrow way to life. This is symbolized by half of Broadway remaining lit up and the other half going dark. James Earl Jones was also the voice of Darth Vader in the movie Star Wars and co-starred with Harrison Ford, who played Han Solo. The day of this blackout, on July 13th, 2019, was Harrison Ford's 77th birthday. Harrison Ford was born in 1942. Harrison Ford's Star Wars career spans 42 years, from 1977 to 2019. The year of this Manhattan blackout. In the Bible, the number 42 is Antichrist symbolism, as it is said that the Antichrist will rule for 42 months, which will begin on May 1st, 2021. In this Manhattan blackout, on the birthday of Harrison Ford, whose Star Wars career spans 42 years, and had his 77th birthday on the day of this Manhattan blackout, and was born in 1942, it was initially reported that 42,000 customers were without power, later increased to 72,000 customers. The blackout occurred from 42nd Street to 72nd Street. The blackout occurred exactly 110 minutes shy of an exact 42 years after the infamous New York City blackout in 1977. 9 million people were without power for over 24 hours. 9 million combined with the 110 minutes shy of an exact 42 years hints at 9/11 and the 110 floors of the Twin Towers that collapsed and engendered a small earthquake that cracked the foundation of Federal Hall, where George Washington was inaugurated at the founding of America, hence the symbolism in the cracked foundation of Federal Hall. And Federal Hall is located on Wall Street, a street that was named after the 9-foot-high wall of security that the Dutch built to keep the British and the Indians out. In the Bible, Joshua died at the age of 110, and Joshua led the Hebrews around the walls of security of the ancient city of Jericho before they collapsed in judgment, hence why it was 110 floors of the Twin Towers that collapsed on 9/11. One of the main news stories within the Manhattan blackout were the impromptu street performances by the two musicals on Broadway, one named Hadestown, which is Antichrist symbolism, and the other named Come From Away, which is a musical about events that happened on 9/11 in 2001. Lightning is Antichrist symbolism, as Jesus said he saw Satan falling like lightning from heaven. The New York City blackout in 1977 was the result of 3 separate lightning strikes at separate locations, at critical substations and transmission lines. It was a sort of perfect storm disaster. Again, this New York City blackout in 1977 that was caused by lightning, which is Antichrist symbolism, was exactly 110 minutes shy of an exact 42 years before the Manhattan blackout on Harrison Ford's 77th birthday. And Harrison Ford was born in 1942. His Star Wars career spans 42 years. And we are talking about Manhattan, the location of the Twin Towers that were 110 stories high that collapsed, cracked the foundation of Federal Hall on Wall Street, which was named after the original 9-foot-high wall of security that the Dutch built to keep the British and the Indians out. And so the New York City blackout in 1977 was caused by lightning, which is Antichrist symbolism, and connects with an exact 42 years to the Manhattan blackout, and 42 years is also Antichrist symbolism. And the Manhattan blackout occurred between 42nd Street and 72nd Street, the area in Manhattan known as Hell's Kitchen, which is also Antichrist symbolism. And a story in the Manhattan blackout is how the residents of Hell's Kitchen were suffering due to the excessive heat and lack of air conditioning, which is also Antichrist symbolism. And one of the main news stories within the blackout was the musical Hadestown that gave an impromptu street performance, and Hadestown is also Antichrist symbolism. Some social media sites have a maximum length for videos that can be posted, and so I need to cut this video into 2 parts. Click on the link to watch the remainder of this video. You can also find this link in the description box below this video. Hopefully you at least found this introduction video to be interesting, and if so, please leave a like and upvote the video, and please consider sharing the video.